Alright guys, so welcome back to another episode. Now I want to show you guys something that you might have missed out on. If I press play, you see that there's this illusion of the floor being raised, but if you change the angle a little bit, you realize it's not actually raised. It's completely flat. And that's because we're using the normal maps right now, and the normal maps give an illusion of height. However, there is a better way to actually create actual height, and that is to create or to use a displacement map. Now, that's outside the scope of this tutorial, and if you guys want to know how to use displacement maps to really make your scenes epic, then you'll probably have to join the mentorships because it is pretty complex stuff and it's better done in teams. But yeah, displacement maps are a much better way to make the floor look realistic. Now back to this episode. Well, if I drag, say, this bush onto the scene, and you can do that, let me just go to the modes panel. So sometimes you might not see the controls to rotate or move or scale, and that's because you're in the wrong panel. You're in the landscapes panel. So let's move to the modes section, right? So we're in modes right now, and I can click this bush and I can move it left, up, I can move it wherever I want, I can rotate it, and I can scale it too, right? So I'm just going to press Ctrl Z to undo. Now, one thing you need to know is that I can actually have a lot of bushes. So I can keep dragging them again and again and again. And what I can do is maybe change the rotation of this a little bit, maybe, decrease the scale of this a little bit, So to make some variance in the bushes, right? Because not all your bushes should look similar. Now, this is a very tedious process. This is something that's going to take you a long time. So we have a tool in Unreal that allows us to kind of generate a lot of meshes at once and give them some mild variations in few properties. And that is called the Foliage Tool. So I'm just going to click on Foliage. And as you can see, let me just delete this one here. So I'm going to drop this bush into the Foliage Tool. When I click on this bush, and I'm just going to check it on so that it's active, I have the settings here, and I can change the density. Suppose I change the density to 50, right? And I change the scale of X. Now this is a variance. So you basically tell the engine what is the minimum amount and what is the maximum amount you want to scale the X by. So let's say this is 0.6, and this is 1. Maybe in the placement, the Z offset, which is how high it is, maybe you want to change it between 0 and 1. Maybe you want to change the rotation a little bit. Maybe you want to change the ground slope angle a little bit. So you can do all of that stuff using the Foliage tool. Now, to apply a foliage, all you have to do is click on it and then click anywhere, and as you can see, it's automatically generated for you. Of course, it's compiling shaders, and this will happen whenever the Unreal Engine is loading, and after that you should be able to see your foliage. Right? So how cool is that? Without having to manually place all of these meshes, they got generated on their own using the Foliage tool. So you can play around the Foliage tool, you can add more things. So if I select both of these, then I can paint both of them together. As you can see all the chairs are rotated by a little bit, so they all look a little different even though they're the same mesh. So that's that for foliage. You can play with all of the other settings. It's fairly straightforward. It's a good way for you to add things like plants, trees, stuff like that. Alright guys, this is a short episode, and that's it for this episode. In the next episode, we're going to start learning how to make interiors of the map. Catch you on the next one.